Tatsuki Fujimoto has had an amazing year and a half. The release of the Look Back movie, the Chainsaw Man movie, the ongoing Chainsaw Man manga, and now the release of one of the most adventurous projects I've ever seen, Tatsuki Fujimoto 17 to 26, an 8-episode animation project encapsulating 8 short stories he wrote from the ages of 17 to 26, with animation done by 6 different studios and 7 different directors. It is truly a marvel of animation. If you follow any anime accounts on any social media, I'd bet you've seen at least one clip from this series in the last week. Whether it's the crazy alien battles from A Couple Clucking Chickens Were Still Kicking in the Schoolyard, the jaw-dropping walking sequence from Sisters, or just the beautiful image of a man on the moon from Sasaki Stopped a Bullet. Every single episode has something special within, and the animation follows suit. This project is truly an amazing love letter to the relationship between anime and manga, as well as an amazing love letter to Fujimoto as a mangaka.
Yeah, I just gave you 9,999 years. I ain't have to do that, but fuck it.
What?
Judge, why that many years?
Sir, is that even legal? What's the point of a sentence like that, Judge?
One thing that sticks out in all these stories is Fujimoto's creativity as a mangaka. You can clearly see the wackiness he's become known for, and it comes across very purely. You can tell he's just experimenting with stories and letting his mind out on the page. And I think this is most clear in the first story. A couple clucking chickens were still kicking in the schoolyard. A world where aliens have taken over but are so enamored by the human lifestyle that they just start living exactly as humans did instead of destroying everything is something I've never seen. And the craziness of this world is depicted perfectly through the colorful, dynamic animation courtesy of Zex's, or however you pronounce that, and director Seishiro Nagao. Simultaneously, the underlying horror of the aliens is intensified by the terrifying depictions of these superpowered creatures that humanity couldn't even hope to fight back against. But on the topic of wackiness, I don't think there's a more concentrated example of Fujimoto's absurdity than Sasaki Stopped a Bullet. It was one of my favorites of the bunch. Produced by Lapin Trek and directed by Nobukage Kimura, this short story started off completely normal, and as far as we can tell, there's nothing particularly supernatural about any of these characters. But alas, Sasaki stops a bullet. Much to the surprise of every character in this story, and to the surprise of me, he stopped that damn bullet, caught it in the palm of his hand. I love how everyone in this story reacts the exact way you'd expect them to, just completely flabbergasted by the miracle they've just witnessed. I love the moral of the story, that there's never a true 0% chance of anything, and I especially love the fact that he makes it to the moon and his dad just isn't there. It's pretty funny that he completes this supernatural feat of catching a fucking bullet in his hand, but then when he goes to the moon, following the same principles that he followed when he caught the bullet, his dad just isn't there. It really highlights how him catching this bullet was just a crazy phenomenon. I watched this whole episode just waiting for it to hard cut to Sasaki dead on the floor, revealing it all to just be a hallucination as he bleeds out, but I was pleasantly surprised when the episode just ended. Happy ending and all. But despite all the love I had for this story, it still wasn't my favorite of the bunch. That honor belongs to the next one. Love is Blind. This story is probably the greatest thing Fujimoto has ever conceived. The high schooler just completely set in his ways, ignoring everything around him because he's determined to overcome the insurmountable wall that is his anxiety of telling his crush he likes her. It was short and sweet, a simple bit that didn't overstay its welcome, followed a natural progression that didn't feel overly predictable, and had me on the edge of my seat by the end. Everything about it is just textbook, executed to perfection. And the animation, once again produced by Lapin Trek, but directed by Nobuyuki Takeuchi this time, makes it all that much better. The intensity of Ibuki comes across so well, and it follows suit perfectly, never doing too much in a scene. This amazing comedy is then followed by Shikaku, which didn't really move me all too much, but then that was followed by Mermaid Rhapsody, which moved me just enough for me to mention that it moved me, and to mention that I enjoyed the song they played and the relationships, which all put a smile on my face and left a warm feeling in my heart. I ended that episode thinking, man, they should have made this one the last one, because it's so heartwarming. Then I watched the actual last episode, and it was even more heartwarming, but we'll get to that later. Woke Up as a Girl Syndrome, on the other hand, moved me much more. When it comes to writing stories around the subject of gender dysphoria and transgenderism, Fujimoto has always excelled, Fire Punch being a clear example of that. And although much more on the nose, this story was no different. Toshihide having to learn to go through life in a body that doesn't match his mind, and deal with the inherent commodification of their body that women go through at the hands of men, all while navigating the effect this change had on his personal relationships, was fantastic to watch. And the resolution of just needing a strong role model to follow was a great ending to the short story. And once again, the animation, produced by Studio Kafka and directed by Kazuaki Terasawa, perfectly enhanced the vibe of this short story, bringing its level up tenfold. Following that was Nayuta of the Prophecy, which, just like Shikaku, didn't move me. But then, Sisters followed that, and it was pretty damn good. The final short story. An artist's story of an artist will always be good, and the story of a girl becoming disillusioned in her art due to someone being better than her reminded me a lot of Look Back, which is to say, it was pretty damn sweet. One after another, these stories changed my perception of Fujimoto, who I previously thought was a fraudulent hack, which I guess I should explain now.
See, I'm tired of your shit. I'm tired of your shit. Yo!
I spent the last few years thinking maybe I just didn't like Fujimoto as a person, which I know sounds weird, but let me explain. I watched Chainsaw Man Season 1, and I came out of it feeling fairly dissatisfied. In an older video, my top 5 anime of 2022, I mentioned that I didn't like the color palette because it was bland and generally just bad, because of how toned down the vibrance was, and basically chalked it all up to that. Actually, that's a simplification. I had more reasoning, but it's not important. There was always something deeper than that I couldn't quite put my finger on. But while I was watching the new movie, in which they fixed all the issues I had with the first season, I realized I still didn't like it all that much, and came to the conclusion that maybe I just don't like Fujimoto as a person. It felt like there was something deeper than any issue I had with the story or the animation or whatever. So I was like, maybe his personality is just shining through the page, and I just don't fucking like that personality all too much. As I watched Denji ride a shark demon, I came to the grand conclusion that I just don't like Fujimoto on a personal level. As if I've met the guy, you know, it's crazy. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking about. But really, when all you know about a person is one piece of work that you don't like, and the fact that they posed as their younger sister on Twitter, what kind of conclusion can I come to? Alas, I finished the movie, got home, and watched Tatsuki Fujimoto 17 to 26, thinking, hey, even if I don't enjoy the stories, I can still feast my eyes on some beautiful art. But then, the stories pulled me in, again and again, drawing me to the edge of my seat. One amazing short story after another, and what I previously thought was a rock-solid conclusion was flipped on its head. I found myself enjoying each and every short. They made me laugh, they made me wonder, they made me feel, and every time I sat there waiting for something to happen that would make me not like the story, but it didn't. I was just waiting for some dumb shit to happen. I was like, I know it's coming, and it didn't. Episode by episode, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it, and by the third story, I was completely bought in. As part of the reason Love is Blind, which is the third episode, is my favorite of the bunch, because it knocked me out of this strange hysteria. Or maybe it knocked me out of this strange hysteria because it's my favorite. I don't know, who cares? All that matters is that it was the nail in the coffin for my theory that I just don't like Fujimoto. I don't think I've laughed at a single thing in Chainsaw Man. Every joke has fell flat to me. It just felt like some shit for kids, even more than usual shonen feels like it's just for little kids. But Love is Blind? That shit was amazing. So maybe I just don't like Chainsaw Man. After all, maybe there's something deeper in it that I just haven't grasped yet. Or maybe I don't like the person Fujimoto turned into in the however many months span of time it took between him turning 26 and him releasing Chainsaw Man. Anyways, I don't know. What I do know is that I need animations of every single author's short stories immediately.
This chat is getting weirder and weirder every fucking day.
Weirdo.
Naturally, after watching this series, I thought about the GOAT, Oda, the creator of One Piece, because I cannot see any mangaka's name without thinking of his name too. And that made me think, why not give him the same treatment? He's definitely earned it. He should have an anime that is his own name as well. He's got a fair amount of short stories, 5 of which are significant enough to compile into one book titled Wanted, Ichiro Oda before One Piece, and they already animated one of them, titled Monsters, which contained the One Piece character Ryuma, so why not do the rest? Some of the other stories have One Piece characters. Gilbaster is in One Piece too. But it's not just Oda. I want them to do this with any author who has any short stories worthy of animation. Like, why not animate Akira Toriyama's manga Theater? Does it have 600 pages? Yes. But you don't gotta animate all of them. Just the best ones. And who knows? Maybe those will be received well, and then you can animate the others. They already animated a few of them anyways, why not just keep going? They animated my favorite, Pink, but they fucked that shit up hard. Cause who the fuck is that? That is not the famous Sheriff Cobalt Blue that I know and love. They turned that motherfucker into Gohan. And I mean, just imagine it. In the case of Akira Toriyama's manga Theater, it could have some cool retro animation like OG Dragon Ball style. And that would be cool as fuck. And while they're at it, I need stop motion animations for every single one of Tim Burton's short stories from The Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy and other short stories. Cause I wanna see that Oyster Boy. and I want to see him die. Anyways, this was just I don't know what this video was. I kind of just wanted to make it because I really enjoyed Tatsuki Fujimoto 17 to 26. And I wanted to talk about other short stories that I really liked as well. Like Wanted, for example. I think it's really enjoyable. And if you want to go read them, go read those short stories. They got some funny stuff in there, and I think it's interesting seeing how you can clearly see the influence of other mangaka. For example, in Ichiro Oda's Future Present from God, you can clearly see Akira Toriyama's influence in there. And all these stories are great. It's why they get compiled into these giant books. I don't really know who was behind getting Tatsuki Fujimoto 17 to 26 into production and created. It's quite the damn feat getting 6 different studios together and a bunch of different directors. It's crazy, but they should do it with more authors. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see y'all in the next one. Deuces.